today's episode of the Sports Break here on RVNtv.tv. I'm your host, Renee Washington, and joining me in the studio today is Jonathan Stroud. We are talking NBA news, and there has been a lot of exciting things happening this last week. And first things first, the Banana Boat brother. Two of the guys from the Banana Boat are back together.
Made it happen. Oh, man.
From Miami to the Banana Boat to Cleveland.
Yes.
We have D.Wade in Cleveland with a 1-year contract.
Right.
Bought out his contract with the Bulls and is now officially with LeBron, reunited.
Right.
How do you feel about this?
I wonder if that was a hard sell for Brown's BFF. We like, come to Cleveland.
Yeah.
I already did you a solid. I came to Miami. You owe me one type of thing. So, listen. I mean, he's got his best friend. He's got D.Wade on the squad now. Cavs, I think, were already going to come out the East, but I think this kind of just elevates them even further. D.Wade, of course, is going to bring that championship pedigree that he has, and that veteran experience. Him and Rondo almost beat the Celtics last year if it wasn't for Rondo's injury he had in the playoffs. So this is going to be pretty nice, I think, with Cleveland. D.Wade, D. Rose on the squad now. Right. So I mean, you got a couple AARP members in there with these older players in there, but like I said, D.Wade, he's a vet. I think he knows when to turn it on, when to turn it off.
Right.
They might be able to challenge the Warriors once they get into the finals. Because clearly, again, I think they're going to reach the finals. So.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing for the Cavs. They're not really focused on the East.
Right.
And they say that every year, even in the regular season, that they're not really worried about what seed they get in the East. They're not really worried about where they end up in the playoffs because they expect to get to the finals.
Right.
So for them, everything they do is gearing up for those 7 games where they're playing whoever comes out of the West. So do you think that, I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but with D.Wade, Derrick Rose, and then, of course, the players they had before with LeBron, Kevin Love.
Right.
Do they have the pieces in place to be able to beat the Warriors?
To be able to beat the Warriors, I mean... The Warriors, I mean, they just have almost too much firepower. But I think right now, this is kind of the closest, and we're going to touch on the Thunder as well, but I think those two teams have kind of positioned themselves to really kind of challenge the Warriors and not make it a cakewalk series. I mean, you got guys like Jay Crowder. He's, your garbage pail, do everything type of player who can stick Draymond Green.
Right.
Like I said, D. Rose. Still has it in him. I think he averaged like 18 to 20 points last year.
Yeah.
So when healthy, he can still add value to a ball club. And then, I think really it comes down to Isaiah Thomas and how good his hip is going to be. They're talking about him coming back in January. So I think if he comes back strong and healthy, because this is the long game for them. So they're not worried about November, October, December, and even January. So as long as they can get this thing pushing and the train moving toward April and get things rolling, then I think they'll be in good shape. So everybody stays healthy. I see Cleveland just making their 8th or LeBron's 8th straight trip to the finals. Yeah, I think they're good.
Yeah, and a big piece of that, as you mentioned, is Isaiah Thomas and his injury, but a lot of the guys they picked up, even D. Rose has had a history of injuries with his knees and things like that. D.Wade has had a history of injuries. He's getting a little older now.
He's on
so for them, I think the good side of that is because they have so much depth, they don't need to rely on an Isaiah Thomas or D. Rose. They don't need them to play a lot of minutes.
That's true.
And the Cavs have rested players in the past like they do with LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a big thing that they do is making sure that they are preserving those players to be able to play in June versus December and January, as you mentioned. So for Isaiah Thomas coming back, I think that is a big thing. How will he be able to bounce back from that hip injury? And the Cavs have already had red flags, kind of like concerns about the injury. Right. But we don't know how he's actually going to come back and look.
Yeah. We don't know how bad this thing is. I think Danny he just kind of did a wink, and he kind of had something up his sleeve where he knew this hip injury was a little bit worse off than as perceived. Yeah. So, like I said, it is going to, I think, be dependent on, because I mean, he's a killer out there once he's on the floor, and he's going to be highly motivated. LeBron and D.Wade are going to be highly motivated. So, I mean, you have that factor where this team is highly motivated to get back, and everybody's gearing up to beat the Warriors. Right. But it's going to come, like, these dudes are older now. I mean, it's going to come down to health. They don't really have any young pups on the team. So, I think it's the deepest team that probably LeBron's played with, since he's been in Cleveland. You still have Kevin Love out there. Right. Jay Smooth, who likes to pull his disappearing action. You never know when he's going to show up or not show up. So, but yeah, if IT can come back strong and healthy, I think there's no stopping these boys in the East.
Yeah.
And then, once they see the, Warriors or the Thunder, you never know what's going to happen there. So
yeah. So we saw D.Wade and LeBron James were celebrating with a toast glass of wine. We saw.
What he's also been Netflixing and chilling.
Right. D.Wade was saying that he's excited to possibly go after their third championship together.
Right.
Then we have Isaiah Thomas, who's looking to get a championship.
Yeah.
Kevin Love, So looking at this roster as a whole, Jay Crowder, Kevin Love, LeBron James, D.Wade, Shumpert, J.R. Smith, Isaiah Thomas. Am I missing? I like
he doesn't
Shumpert. Count. But he still is a factor. He's someone that can step on the court and make a play.
He's only a factor because
Richard Jefferson's still back. Yeah, true. Richard Jefferson's back, which I have my mixed feelings about that. But he's riding the train, trying to get another ring. Anyways, they have a lot more depth this year. It's not just Kyrie, LeBron, and Kevin Love. Mm-hmm. So who do you think is the starting five or the top five? Everyone's healthy. Who would you pick?
Well, D-Wade's going to be in there. Bron runs the show, so it's going to be Bron, D-Wade. It's going to be interesting. D-Rose, I think, is probably going to start. You're going to have Kevin Love out there. And Tristan, we forgot about Tristan Thompson. I'm not sure if he's going to come off the bench or if he's going to be your starting five. They're going to run small ball. But I think that's probably what you're going to see. And then it's going to be interesting once Isaiah Thomas comes back, because I guess you'll have Isaiah, LeBron still playing at 3, D-Wade at 2, Kevin Love, and then you can throw a 5 in there. Like I said, Tristan Thompson or whoever you want at the 5 position.
Yeah.
So I think they have a plethora of moves they can make and shuffling that lineup around. I mean, it's all going to come down to who finishes the game, and you're going to have Wade, LeBron out there. And I think Jay Crowder is a good player to finish games as well. So they have options, and like I said, I think it's all gearing up to be LeBron's swan year out of Cleveland. So I mean, Cleveland, get ready, because this is it for you guys. Next year we're going to talk about you being in the lottery. So
I think so. But I am very excited as a Cavs fan. I know I'm very excited to see.
I keep forgetting you.
Oh yeah. I'm actually wearing somewhat the Cavs gold today.
You got that mustard going.
Yeah, that mustard gold going. But I do see this as a team where they have a variety of depth, and they have players that can do different things. So you have a Tristan Thompson that can get rebounds and defend down low, be a presence in the paint. You have a Jay Crowder that can defend. He's a good fill-in role player. You have a Kyle Korver that can shoot, and Kevin Love, if he's shooting well. Yeah, exactly. Kevin Love shooting well. And then you have some guards in D-Rose and Isaiah Thomas when he gets back. Knock on wood, you come back healthy. And then, of course, you have LeBron at the helm of all that. So I like that there are now layers to it.
So the question is, how long before your boy Bron starts crying and saying about what he needs mid-season? Because, he likes to do that every year. Like, we got to get some shooters. You got to get this at the trade deadline. So what's the over-under before he starts?
You know what? I truthfully think that LeBron does that as a way to show that he's not complacent, because you're not going to agree with me, but as I mentioned, the Cavs are always gearing up for the finals.
That's true.
Not the regular season, not even the Eastern Conference playoffs, the finals.
Right.
So for LeBron, and I don't think it's intentional, but I think he's looking at the end goal, whereas other people are like, we're doing well this season, you're getting wins, you're playing, whatever, and he's not complacent. He's looking at, what are the other teams doing on the West that we can possibly play against? What do we have to do to beat those teams? And making sure that the guys around him are not settling for the basics.
Right.
I mean, it's not enough to beat the Celtics. It's not enough to be the best team in the East, because the West is significantly stronger. We're going to talk about that after this break. Significantly stronger than the East. So he is always looking to keep getting better. Oh, no, that's why. That's crybaby.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, he's probably looking across the West, and you see the Warriors jump out to a 22 and 2 start or something like that, and his squad is a little struggling. I think he's probably going to go to management, where he is the GM, and say, listen, we need something else. But, I mean, he has D-Wade now. So, I mean, he wanted Melo really bad, or D-Wade. He has D-Wade, and I think all is going to be well with him. And, it's going to be a fun year for Cleveland.
And I do think it'll take some time for them to settle in, as it did with the Heat when he first went to the Heat. But I think come later in the season, we'll see the Cavs team that everyone's expecting to see on paper right now on the court. Right. So you did mention Melo, and we will actually get into Melo and OKC right after this break. Don't go too far, because we're going to continue talking about NBA news, and then later, the Golden State Warriors, of course. We'll be right back after this break.
Why travel to Philadelphia or Atlantic City for memorable and diverse dining? Experience the unique style and ambiance of Napa Valley wine country right here in the heart of South Jersey. At Terra Nova Restaurant, it's casual yet sophisticated with contemporary American cuisine. Enjoy South Jersey's best sushi and raw bar, the freshest seafood, thick, delicious steaks, pastas, appetizers, and desserts. Our wine bar offers selections from virtually every major wine-producing region in the world. Choose from over 200 wines, with 50 available by the glass. Join us at Terra Nova for Wine Down Wednesdays with special half-price bottles of wine. Sit, sip, and enjoy. Our bar happy hour features sushi at half price. Every Friday night, it's live music and our pasta and wine Sundays. Spotlight 25 wines at $25. Terra Nova Restaurant has a wonderful Northern California decor with architectural touches exuding elegance and warmth. An excellent choice for private parties. Our rooms can accommodate 20 to 120 people. Choose the Napa Room, Sonoma Room, or the Monterey Room. Terra Nova Restaurant is perfect for friends to meet. And for added fun, enjoy our brand new wine and martini bar. Great food, great wine, great friends. It's Terra Nova Restaurant.
Apple Ridge is about freedom. Apple Ridge is about community. Apple Ridge is about home. Apple Ridge, everything you want, more than you expect. Welcome to
Sports Break here on RVNtv.tv. I'm your host, Renee Washington, and joining me is co-host Jonathan Stroud. We've been talking NBA news, of course, starting off with the Cavs, picking up D.Wade to add to D. Rose, Isaiah Thomas, and LeBron. But we do have to switch gears to talk about another team, another banana boat, and that's Carmelo Anthony is now with the Oklahoma City Thunder with Russell Westbrook and Paul George.
Another super squad.
So, how do you feel about this move? He's finally done with New York. Thank goodness. We were talking last week about hopefully the decision being finalized this past weekend, and it is.
Man, it feels like we've been talking about Melo leaving New York for like the past 2-3 years now. Finally, the cord has been cut. He's with OKC now. I didn't really see that one coming, but this is really going to be. You do have a lot of ball dominant guys on the squad as well with Paul George. We all know about Russell Westbrook and how he likes to handle the rock. And then Melo, I'm not the biggest fan of Melo's game because I just feel like the ball stops there and it doesn't you don't get that fluid movement that you do with other teams. But hopefully he can adjust with playing with these two All-Stars now. And there's no excuses. I mean, Melo's never gotten out of the second round of the playoffs now. So, they were joking about him coming off the bench, which, he really laughed that one off. He was... I'm not a bench player, so. I right now I see the Thunder actually that they, if this all comes together the way it should, I see them really challenging the Warriors out there, coming out of the West, which is going to be fun because we spoke about players being motivated last segment with LeBron, and going off with Kyrie. I mean, there's nobody more motivated in the NBA than Russell Westbrook trying to get at the Warriors and KD and everything that's happened with that team. So I think each game that we get to see Warriors Thunder is going to be an epic battle this year.
Yeah, and I feel like this offseason has really built up the hype around the OKC Warriors kind of rivalry that we're seeing. Starting back with the NBA awards when Peyton Manning made the joke to Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, and they both had that kind of like, I don't want to react, but I'm really mad that you said that face. And then we recently, as we talked about on our show before, with Twitter, Kevin Durant accidentally or whatever, that joke, that was a joke, that wasn't really a joke, it wasn't funny at all. Tweeting about OKC, I feel like the hype is being built around these two teams to be the two teams that are going against each other, even though we still have other teams like the Rockets and Spurs that are also coming out of the West. But now looking at kind of that fuel that's being added to the fire for Russell Westbrook and having Carmelo and Paul George, how do they match up with the Warriors, do you think?
Well, it's going to be, so you have Russell the assassin out there, and then Paul George is, I think, going to be the key to everything. I mean, he's the guy where you can just give it to him when you need a bucket, which you can do the same thing with Melo. Paul George and Russell Westbrook, I think they were probably going to be in the backcourt, which could probably catapult them to the best backcourt in the NBA. Both players, good two-way players that play defense. Melo, they're talking about him playing the 4 spot, which I guess you're going to put what's the guy's name? Robbie Anderson or the other guy? I can't think of his name right now. At the 3, and then probably Steven Adams at the 5. So I think as far as matching up with the Warriors, I think they do that quite well. And I still, like I said, they were playing the series right now. So they're going 7 games. So it's going to be a fun. I can't wait for the season to get kicked off. It's going to be a wild ride from start to finish. I think, especially in the West. I mean, the West is just. And you mentioned all the players that moved. I think it was like 7 former All-Stars that are all from the East to the West now. So I mean, it's just like the Goliath right now to the East. So I mean, listen, the Warriors it's not going to be a cakewalk, or a cupcake walk, as I should say, to the finals this year for them.
Yes, and we have been talking about on our show how everyone is gearing up to play the Warriors, and that's the focus now. I mean, it's not enough to just win your conference. It's not enough to what you do in the regular season. It's about being able to compete with the Warriors. They're the team that has set the bar, and ironically for me, Carmelo is being marked as playing in the 4. Right. When in New York, they were trying to play him at the 4, and he wasn't having it. He wanted no parts of that, but he's like, I'm not a power forward, even though he played with the national team as a 4 and did very well, and could be a very good power forward. And now he's moving to OKC, and New York fans are kind of like, well, we tried to play you there too, and you didn't want to play there, but now you want to play at the 4?
Well, now he's playing with greatness. He's playing with great players.
That's key.
Exactly. So when you're playing with trash, you're just like, I call the shots, and I'm going to do whatever I want. But now that you're playing actually with some greatness and some great players, now you kind of like give in a little bit here to the system. Because, listen, we had the end game here is to win a championship. That's what Carmelo's talked about. That's what he's trying to do. So when you're trying to win a championship, you kind of got to sacrifice, and do what it takes for the team to win. So if he's smart about it, he knows, he'll know his role and know what he needs to do. So
yes, and I think we're seeing that's a big part of it, and that's something that I'm like, duh. Of course, he's now okay with playing the 4. He's like, he would play the 5 if he had to. Pretty sure. He's playing with good players, and he was even saying how Russell Westbrook was already exciting when he was considering teams to go to in the Cavs, Rockets, Thunder, whoever. Russell Westbrook was already something that was enticing to go to play with. And then Paul George joined the team. He's like, oh, this is a no-brainer. They have a good basketball relationship from playing together and, with the national team. And he's excited to play with those top players again. Now he's playing with all-star caliber players. And then we also have players, out of the 3 of them, that are guys that can score. And everyone's saying Melo doesn't defend and Russell Westbrook doesn't defend. I like the way Westbrook defends. I think he plays both ends of the court.
Yeah, no, he does. He's a high-energy guy. He's motivated. And I think, when you're around a winning culture, it's amazing how players start to play defense. So you might see Melo out there, you actually locking down some guys and giving more, because we all know defense is all about effort and energy and your hustle. So I think him being around a winning team this year, you're going to see a little bit more more fight in his defense rather than being a turnstile. So like you said, I mean, the Warriors, a team like that, the way they just kind of got, were dominant, and with KD and what he did last year, we got into all that last week. But I mean, when you set the bar or buy the bar that high, I mean, the squads are going to have to naturally just gun for you and try to put their teams together, because nobody wants just to have just a team just steamroll through, So.
And I think the greatest thing, before we kind of move on to the Warriors, the greatest thing that I like about this OKC team is last year we saw Russell Westbrook, MVP, getting triple-doubles every game. He was out to prove he doesn't need Kevin Durant. I still got it. I can carry this team. And we saw him carrying OKC. There were times, I felt bad for him at times, because he would get the rebound, bring the ball up, make a great pass, and then whoever he passed to would do some garbage. And he just didn't have the guys around him. And then you have a Carmelo who's in New York that wasn't as motivated because he didn't like the system. Even with Phil Jackson now being gone for this upcoming season, he didn't want to stay. He didn't want to be a part of that system. He didn't fit in. He didn't feel like he could win a championship in New York, and he couldn't. And then you have Paul George coming off of his injury a couple years back, that awful injury, getting back into playing. This last year was kind of like a rebuilding year for him to get back, some good minutes. And these are guys that have not won a championship, an MVP player in Russell Westbrook, and all-star players that have been knocked out of the playoffs by, for Paul George and Melo, LeBron every year, if Melo even made it to the playoffs, and for Westbrook, the Warriors. So I think this is, again, setting up for the perfect David versus Goliath battle between these two teams.
And Russell just needs to take a step back, because Russell, he's super high energy, energized about it, and he's always just trying to do everything And last year's team, he had to do everything because he was the main player. But now I think as long as he realizes the pieces he has around him, takes a step back and just lets the game come to him, and is more of a facilitator out there rather than trying to do everything, get a triple double every night, then this team is going to be exactly, they're going to be fine, and I think they're going to really be able to challenge. So Russell, just kind of slow down, take a step back out there, man. So.
Yes, but we talked about the two teams that are looking like the top competitors to be able to knock off the Warriors and beat them. Of course, we have to talk about the Warriors. So when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors and their invitation to the White House. We'll be right back after this break.
Why travel to Philadelphia or Atlantic City for memorable and diverse dining? Experience the unique style and ambiance of Napa Valley wine country right here in the heart of South Jersey. At Terra Nova Restaurant, it's casual yet sophisticated with contemporary American cuisine. Enjoy South Jersey's best sushi and raw bar, the freshest seafood, thick, delicious steaks, pastas, appetizers, and desserts. Our wine bar offers selections from virtually every major wine-producing region in the world. Choose from over 200 wines, with 50 available by the glass. Join us at Terra Nova for Wine Down Wednesdays with special half-price bottles of wine. Sit, sip, and enjoy. Our bar happy hour features sushi at half price. Every Friday night, it's live music and our pasta and wine Sundays. Spotlight 25 wines at $25. Terra Nova Restaurant has a wonderful Northern California decor with architectural touches exuding elegance and warmth. An excellent choice for private parties. Our rooms can accommodate 20 to 120 people. Choose the Napa Room, Sonoma Room, or the Monterey Room. Terra Nova Restaurant is perfect for friends to meet. And for added fun, enjoy our brand new wine and martini bar. Great food, great wine, great friends. It's Terra Nova Restaurant.
Welcome back to the Sports Break here on RVNtv.tv. I'm your host, Renee Washington, with co-host Jonathan Stroud. We've talked about the Cavs, we've talked about the Thunder, and now we're going to talk about the Warriors. So after winning any championship, sports teams are invited to the White House.
Yeah.
And invited.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry was saying in a press conference that he was not going to go to the White House. So President Donald Trump removed that invite. He withdrew it, as he wants to say. And the Warriors like, well, we were never going to begin with. So withdraw your invitation if you want to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change what we were going to do.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
this is the classic,
all of this?
Classic case of, a high schooler having a party and finds out the cool kids may not be coming, and it's like, you're not coming to my party, and we weren't coming anyway, dude. So, I mean, listen.
Great point.
The elephant in the room is the Warriors we're never going to come to the White House. And to be honest with you, I think as long as Trump is in the White House, you're not going to see NBA teams going to the White House. I mean, it's a 75% African-American league. The players are, dominated. Their superstars are black. So I don't think that, and Trump has made it clear that he's not, he's that divisive figure who is not willing to, have that open conversation about race relations and just kind of, he's kind of one-sided with it. So, what you're going to see here is, I think you're going to see for a couple more years to come. Hopefully it's not going to be a couple more years, but that's another argument for another time. So, Steph Curry, it's funny to me. I was hoping that he would have went at Kevin Durant because, Kevin Durant has 2 Twitter accounts. So he could have came at him from both angles, from Kevin Durant and the alter ego Kevin Durant. And then, that could have really been a Twitter war. That could have been fun. But,
They both had Twitter figures.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be
that'd have been an ultimate Twitter battle there. You got KD, the alter ego KD, then Trump. I mean, that could have got real ugly in there. But, now we got Steph, so he's the more diplomatic figure. So, Steph is hesitating, so the offer's withdrawn. Like, come on, dude, they weren't coming anyway. And it's a sad state that we're in. But you would think he had more pressing issues, i.e. Puerto Rico or some other things going on that he wanted to just throw his hat into the sports arena and get busy with him one time. So
and I mean, some people call him the reality TV president. Because he is, like, when you watch an episode of Real Housewives or something, it's like, what dumb drama can we stir up now? Like, it's so scripted, it's, like, annoying to see.
Right.
Like, we don't like each other, but we're going to sit and go on vacation together, and then we're going to fight because we don't really like each other.
Right.
But, and, like, that type of mentality, and he follows that.
Yeah.
Like, who can I pick a fight with now?
Right.
The NFL, oh, people aren't talking about that as much. Let me go to the NBA. Oh, let me go back to the NFL and talk about the protests. And for Steph Curry, I think it goes back to what you said with the high school drama. He's like the leader of the cool kids. Like he's the cool kid.
Right.
And everyone loves the Curry family, and I do too. And it's kind of like, well, dang, if Steph doesn't want to come here, then I don't want any of you guys to come here.
Right.
Like, how old are we?
Yes. Well, come on now. Yeah, it's so childish behavior, and it's just like, you know, I know under Commissioner Adam Silver came out and was like, you know, he's sad, he wanted to come out there and have a dialogue, but at the same time, I mean, there's been other minority leaders that have tried and attempted to come out there and have this open dialogue, and I'm not talking about Kanye, and I ain't talking about Steve Harvey either, but they've actually tried to have an educated conversation, and he's proven that that's not even, you know, worth it, because he's very one-sided in his views, and he's really not open to a dialogue about, you know, social injustice and trying to bring a light to that. So, I'm happy that Adam Silver wanted them to do that, but there's really, I think this is a line drawn in the sand where the Warriors, they made the right decision, and hopefully other teams follow suit into that decision as well, you know, because until we get some issues fixed and worked out, and, you know, he's willing to have that conversation and really to accept that there is a lot of social injustice and inequality going on right now, that's not going to happen. You know, he's made a lot of disparaging remarks. I'm not going to get into them. I think Shannon Sharp said we're almost at like 7,300 now as far as the remarks that this guy's made. So it's like, you know, the remarks aren't stopping, so why do we need to come in there and, you know, shake hands and act like it's all good?
Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing here is it's fake to go there and act like you've seen it in the past with previous presidents where celebrities and athletes are in the White House and you see them shaking hands with the president and they're laughing and they're talking, but it's genuine.
It is.
And if you're doing that, if you're the Warriors and you're shaking hands with Donald Trump, it's very fake. It's very forced. And I think the hardest thing is that people don't really understand is athletes kind of have like a brotherhood. Female and male athletes as a whole. Yeah. Like you talk about a WNBA player, you talk about an NFL player, a baseball player, whatever. Everyone is gonna kind of be like alarmed and ready to defend each other because they all understand the grind of being a professional athlete. They understand what it's like to put in that work and be on that stage and have all eyes on you at all times. So with everything that's been going on with the NFL, with the protests with the anthem and Donald Trump's comments about those, and then Donald Trump in general, no offense, but offense. It's just, it doesn't make sense, all offense. It doesn't make sense for the Warriors to go and be a part of that celebration.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
So we are, sadly, out of time.
We could have went on forever about that. We just getting started.
But as always, thank you guys for joining us here on RVNtv.tv to watch the Sports Break. I'm Renee Washington, joined by Jonathan Stroud. You can follow us or see us here Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. So that means we'll be back tomorrow morning. See you then. Have a great Thursday.